Yeah, there we go. I tell you, I only do this once a month, and it seems I always screw it up. But I think we got all the right buttons pushed this time. My name is Gary Hendershot. I'm your producer. We've taken the handoff now from our friends in Ireland, and at this point, you're listening to the United We Strike radio marathon being broadcast live from my secret underground bunker just 12 miles south of Washington, D.C. We have a new host that I'm going to introduce tonight. This next presentation is pre-recorded. I've never heard what this lady has to say before, so I'll be very interested in hearing her presentation. Hope you are as well. Please do stand by. I'm going to go ahead and roll it now. This is Pamela Tartar for the United We Strike Radio Marathon of April 12th, 2014.
UWS Radio and the International Community Radio Network is a joint partnership in Internet Community Radio, working to give each country a voice on a united global platform.
Amount necessary or sufficient to have a significant effect or to achieve a result. This is critical mass.
This is Pamela Tartar. The name of my show is Critical Mass, and I'm here on United We Strike Radio Marathon. Today is my first show, and I'm so happy to be here, and I'm grateful to add my efforts to all the other hosts and what they're talking about and the information humanity needs at this time and space. So thank you for giving me this platform, and I'll do my best to present my message, and maybe it will be something that you can take away to apply to your life. Critical mass. Why that name? Critical mass denotes a crucial juncture, or a critical time, or a decisive moment, or a defining point in time, a do or die time, a sink or swim time, a turning point, a tipping point, or a time of crisis. When I hear the word crisis, I think about the Chinese that have two characters that make up that word. And one character is the character for danger. The other character is for the word opportunity. That seems very odd to have danger and opportunity equaling crisis. Well, that's what the Chinese have for their word crisis, danger, and opportunity. Now, we know a bit about the danger because we need to know it. We need to see it because we cannot come up against it and not be done in by it if we don't know what it is. So I would like to give you my awareness of what the danger is, and then, of course, talk about what opportunities we have to stand up against this danger. I know that there is an organized opposition with layer upon layer of programming and death that's set against us. And I call this group the opposition. I don't use words like Satan, devil, elite, New World Order, powers that be, or any of those terms. Rarely do I use them. I use the word opposition. And the reason I do is because one of the opposition's huge tools that they've turned into a weapon is this divide and conquer. And if I use any of those terms I just mentioned, that puts me in a category. Like if I use Satan, that's for the Christians and the Muslims, and it has religious connotations which separate us. And if I use political terms, that separates us. Are we blue or are we red? You know what I mean about the divide and conquer. We must get up above that. We must rise above this divide and conquer, because if we stay divided, we will be conquered. We absolutely will be. All we have to do is look at history. Okay, so we know a bit about the opposition, and it is my awareness that this opposition worships death. They are absolutely against all life. The attacks on life are so obvious. Our seas, our water, even the tap water that comes out in our home is polluted and poison and toxic. And our soil that we grow our food in, and the actual seeds themselves and how they're fertilized, the pesticides on them, toxic and poison, we know this. The air we breathe is toxic, it's poison. The particulates that are being sprayed on purpose, the media that is forced at us to try to find out what's going on in the world is toxic and poison. It's set against us. It is not in alignment with our nature at all. It is the opposite. The opposition is opposite to life. It's death. In every way you can think of, it's death. Now let's talk a little bit about the opportunities. Einstein said something that I can't remember the verbatim for, but I can paraphrase it. And it goes something like this. A problem cannot be solved using the same thinking and techniques that began the problem. We cannot use the same weapons against the opposition that they use at us. And that's not a problem because we don't have to. We are human beings, and in our very nature, we have the answers we need to meet this opposition and defeat it. I know this. I've studied it. I'm living it. And part of what drew me to United We Strike is the 15th of the month to strike and to not spend money and to not go anywhere and to not comply with the status quo. I think that's wonderful. Within 2 hours of knowing that Karen Tostada was on this planet, I looked at her site and I decided that I was going to, of course, support the 15th strike. So I changed the one appointment I had on the 15th, and all of my calendars have an X across the 15th. I'm not going to take any appointments. I'm not going to the doctor. I'm not going to the grocery store. I'm not going anywhere because I'm striking that day. I am not complying with the status quo. I am not going along with it. And that's something we can all do. And in my messages for years, I have been inviting people to be non-compliant. Just say no. That is enough to make changes. And I'll tell you something. One of my big pet peeves is the TSA. I have not flown on an airplane since TSA came out. I will not allow a stranger to touch me in ways in public that my husband would not even touch me. It's insane to allow that. And not only do we allow it, we pay for the privilege and we present ourselves to be raped by these strangers. And I'm not complying with that. There is no way. That is so far against my nature that there is no way on this earth I would do that. So, not complying is what I choose to do. Now, if everyone would do that for 1 week, we would be finished with the TSA. 1 week of not flying anywhere would end this craziness. And you know, we have about 340 something deaths per year caused by an automobile. And yet we don't outlaw automobiles because that's insane. But we allow these people to put their hands on us, saying that it has to do with terrorists, when we know that's a big lie. But we go along with it. We're complacent and we just say, well, what can I do about it? It's what we have to do. Well, what you can do about it is not comply, not participate in it. All of the games that they set up, and when I say they, I mean the opposition, those that are against all life, everything they set up for us to comply with goes against our nature. It is against life. And every time we go along with it, we are going against our own nature. And after we do it so long, we become a little less human. And then we see people who are a lot less human, and we call them inhumane. And we call their activities inhumane. We have got to get back to our nature. Now, I know this sounds foreign to some people because society and religion tells us that our humanity is something bad and that we need to whip our humanity into shape and we need to go against our nature because our nature is sinful, and we need to give of ourselves, constantly being outside of ourselves, never a second to get to know and to be with ourselves. How can we learn what our features are as human beings in order to use them in a powerful way, and they are powerful, to come up against this opposition and be successful if we never have a moment to be with ourselves? I know a lot of people think, well, I know I've got an energy body and a spirit body and a mental body and an emotional body and a physical body. I know that. Leave me alone. Well, that's not enough. We need to know how the parts and members of each of those bodies function. Keep them clean, like you would shine up a shield or a sword. Keep them clean. Know how they work. Know what they do and what they don't do. That is where our power is, and that's why the opposition has kept us so insanely scheduled that we have no time left to get to know ourselves and to understand what it is to be a human being and where our power is. And when I invite you to do this, this costs you no money. You don't have to go to a weekend seminar and pay $300. You don't have to buy a CD or a book. You do have to commit to being quiet and being still and looking inside. That's all. And it's necessary. And as you look at the features of your own humanity, you will become awed. You will be amazed at the beauty. You will be amazed at the possibilities that you can turn into probabilities by learning about your features. Now, I want to tell you a little story about features. We have a new stove, and I can't think of what you call it, but it's like a glass top. And due to my health issues, I have not been cooking for a while. My husband has been doing that. Well, I wanted to help. He was bringing some food home, and I wanted to get some plates warm. So I heard about the plate warmer, so I go in there and I turn it all the way up, and I put my plates on that plate warmer. Now, these plates are are supposed to be safe in the oven, in the microwave, in the freezer, in the refrigerator. And I mean, they're just safe. What could go wrong? Well, I knew there was a feature there, but I didn't know how the feature worked. So I put this plate that's supposed to be virtually indestructible, you would think, but I put it all the way up. And all the way up is for metal pots and pans, not for plates. Halfway up is for plates. Okay? I go back to the office at the other end of the house. My 2 dogs are at my feet, as they usually are. And I'm working away, and all of a sudden I hear this shot. It sounds like a gunshot, a single shot. And I just can't imagine what it is. David's gone. And I got quiet, and I figured, well, there's nothing. It didn't feel like anything was wrong. And so I just waited. And when David came home, I went in to get our warmed plates and dip out our food. And lo and behold, my plate was cracked right down the middle. That was the noise. And you know why that happened? Because I didn't know how that feature worked, but I sure do now. But as we get to know our features that belong to us, that make up our natural humanity, we will be strong and powerful to go up against this opposition, which is very organized and very layered. And there are so many programs that are running in every human being on this planet right now that it almost looks impossible, but it isn't. As we go inside and as we look at who and what we are as a human being, we can use our features to develop the parts of us that can create the tools we need to be successful against this organized opposition. I'm very hopeful, and I'm very excited about it, because we are so much more than we know we are. Why do you think they have gone to such extent to keep us from knowing ourselves, to keep us from hating our very nature, to keep us from having 1 second to spend with ourselves? Because that's where the power is. That's where the answer is to defeat this opposition. Being a human being is an amazing thing. Our nature has the answers we need, because being a human means to be compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic and kind and considerate and peacemakers. That seems to be the opposite of going to war and making war, doesn't it? We're also healers. We're problem solvers. We're inquisitive by nature. We like to ask questions, and when we do, that leads us down another path to learn more about our features of who we are as a human being. We're intuitive. We know things that we don't know we know right now, because we don't know how our intuitive feature works. We're imaginative. We can visualize things. And you know, visualization is an amazing tool that we can turn into a weapon against this opposition. It is very, very powerful. And in future shows, I'll talk about how we can do that and how successful I've been using imagination and visualization. Amazing, amazing feature of my being and your being. We're creators. A lot of people fight with me over my saying that we're creators, but we are creators. When my husband, who is an audio engineer and a musician, begins to think about a piece of music, he writes the lyrics, and then he hears the different instruments, and he hears that in his thought world first, and then he adds details to it, and he adds the bass guitar and the electric guitar and the drums and all these instruments, and then now he's ready to actually begin the creation process in this dimension. But he's already created it in his thought world and in his imagination and his visualization. So then he brings that into this dimension as a created thing. We are creators. It's in our being. It's in every atom of our being to create. And we can create what we need to be successful against this opposition. But we have to use our tools, our natural tools, our nature. And if we don't know our nature, we can't use our nature. So I do appreciate this time that we've had together. And I've introduced a bit of where I'm coming from at this time. What I'm presenting on this show and on my other shows is coming back to our true self, coming back to our nature, and becoming non-compliant with all the programs that are running in us, that society is directing us to do and to be, that is against our nature. Just stopping it, not doing it anymore, and we will break those programs. That's one thing I appreciate about United We Strike Radio Marathon. We can talk about ways that we can be non-compliant and ways that we can strike, and we can do this together and make an impact. So I'm really grateful to be here. I appreciate this time. Now, I would like to introduce to you the fact that my husband and I are starting a network that is going live April the 15th. PureMomentum.net. PureMomentum.net. We currently have 8 hosts that present 2-hour shows weekly on all the various subjects that is burning on their heart. And we're just grateful that we're able to begin this now. And I would like to invite all of you to come over and support us support United We Strike, of course. That's why we're here. But do come and take a listen to our talks, to our talk shows at puremomentum.net. And our network is called Pure Momentum Network. And the purity of our intention is powerful. And momentum is building. And as we build, we can come together and we can use this time that is critical. Critical mass is here. And it's a time of crisis. And we can meet that crisis by looking at the danger and by looking at the opportunities that I know is found in our nature. Who we are as human beings that Mama Earth has taught us as we look at nature. Nature is our family. Nature is our relatives. And we need to connect back to our family and to our relatives. And we need to come together, be united as we learn to come back to our nature. And that's how we will defeat this opposition that is organized layer by layer against all life on our planet, including our planet. And we must know that. And as we hear the word opposition, think opposite. Our medical system is opposite health. Our education is opposite learning. Our judicial system has nothing to do with justice. It's simply legal. It is not just most of the time, and we're seeing it every day. Our religion is opposite spirituality. We need to see these things and we need to look opposite. We've been programmed to give our power away to quote unquote authority figures. And when you hear something coming from an authority figure, think opposite, do opposite. That will more likely be in alignment with your true nature. We absolutely must get back to our true nature. That's where the answer is to defeat this opposition. When we hear the opposition and the authority figures, directing us to a virtual life, reject it. When you see something that is directing you to a virtual acceptance of friends that you don't even know, that they call them friends, but you know that that's not what a friend is, immediately reject that virtual life. We can have real life. We can have a natural life. And I'll tell you, there is nothing that beats being in nature. There is nothing that beats hearing a beautiful bird sing and acknowledging that. You know, we're kept so busy and so much in survival mode all the time that sometimes we don't even hear the birds sing. And they're beautiful songs. I have cardinals that visit me all the time, and I talk to them, and I thank them for coming and talking to me. I am part of nature, and they are part of nature, and we are part of each other. And the opposition would like us to tune that out, would like us to tune everything that's natural out and to accept this virtual world and choose that rather than the real world. Don't do it. Refuse it. Be non-compliant with it. Say no. You know good and well that you cannot have 400 friends like they say you have on Facebook, or even more. It's not possible. How can you know a person and be in their life and be there for them when they have problems and they're there for you when you have yours? That's not possible with 300 people. Let's not buy into that. They're calling it friends, but they're not friends. This is the virtual world I'm talking about. It is opposite of real life. Real life friends are very rare. And you don't have that many. And if you have one or two, you're very blessed. Wow, I'm so happy to have had this first show with you. Thank you so much for joining me at this time. I'm so happy to be here on United We Strike. Please come and hear me at puremomentum.net. And until we meet again next month, I'll be there doing shows at puremomentum.net. Until next time, this is Pamela Tartar.